Hi, everyone. Welcome to October 9th edition of Contributor Experience. Thanks for giggling with me for the first 5 minutes. Today, we have our regular agenda meeting. If you are on the call right now, please put your name on the agenda. I will lazy link the agenda in chat right now. Hold on 1 second. All right. As always, we have a code of conduct. Please be excellent to each other. Since there are so many of us on the call, make sure you try to either raise your hand or say in chat that you have something to add so we can get to you. I don't believe there's any new contributors on the call right now. Nope, I don't see any, which means we have our regular show. Hello, regular show. And then to get into our stand-ups, first we do events, then we go to mentoring, community management, GitHub management. If any of those sub-project owners or anybody in any of those sub-projects is on the line right now and has updates in those sections, please add those now just so that we know that there's updates coming. Otherwise, we'll kick it off with George and myself with events. George, do you want to go first with some of the events you're covering? And I guess maybe we can wipe away steering committee election as well.
You're muted.
He's over here like, I have this fancy unmute thing now.
I know, I do. Now I have
your fancy box now, George.
I have 37 buttons. I don't know how to unmute now because I have too many.
You don't have a foot pedal?
Here it is. Don't judge. All right, so real quick, we didn't meet our contributors last week. I just wanted to mention that. What did we do different that time? We switched over to the event thing. That's more workflow. Most of you don't care. For office hours, it's going to be our last office hours until KubeCon next week, so we're going to really push it heavily and market it. Community meeting. Marky is doing this week's community meeting. He still hasn't heard from 2SIG, so going to try to help him out, be a little bit more aggressive today, helping him out. We still need hosts. Let me just open the meeting tracker up here and then toss this. So Jonas said last week, Marky is doing this week. We need someone for next week. And then Marky signed up for 2. If we could get some more different people than the usual suspects, I think it'd be great. Also, if you could help us reach out to maybe people who don't do this. Effectively, I'm kind of doing the work for them in the background anyway. So if there's someone who's too busy, but might be a good personality or something like that, if you have any coworkers or anything like that that want to get in there, I basically kind of set up the work for them. They just kind of have to read through it. So if you can think people and they're kind of too scared of the commitment or whatever, feel free to tell them, well, George will do the work for you anyway. Just, let's get you on YouTube so it's not the same people all the time, especially when it comes to like diversity and just, if it's the same people every time, it just gets a little boring, you know what I mean? And that's all I have for those 2. Paris, I think you're next with
Yep. So Contributor Summit updates. There's a blog post that's going to go live today. If I can get my images, Git skills together. And then that's also going to go with several outlets, whether it's KDev mailing list, whether it's Twitter. It's going to be a lot going on there. Best thing for people to do on this call right now is to help us spread the word. The main action with all of the communications today is to check the schedule and register, because we have, I think it's like less than 100 tickets left. So we want to start making sure that we have some of our major maintainers there and things like that, so that when there's unconference sessions going, that they can really speak to the subjects. So again, everybody on this call, once that stuff goes out, please do me a favor and get that out to your networks, especially if you sit in other SIGs and sit in other SIG meetings. The easiest thing to do is just pop that on their agenda and say, hey, you don't even need to read it out loud, just put it on the agenda, and that would be awesome. That's it for Contributor Summit. Steering committee election is now over. So we do not have to report on that anymore. Bob or George, do you want to talk about anything that relates to like either the retro or anything to wrap it up?
You're muted again.
Yeah, so I do have the retro fixes. This is a change from what we did last year. I've kind of started cheating for whoever goes next year. I'm going to put the URL in the chat there. Something I would like to get to do, I don't know if Brian Grant or Ihor, I can't speak to them, are interested in doing this next year, but I definitely want to get new people in from contributor experience, learning how to run elections. So I am happy. I've been in every election, and that's fine, and I'm happy to shadow and help someone, but I think it really helps when we get new people in. So I just want to start the conversation now. If you're interested in doing the election stuff, it's really rewarding. It's really fun. You know, I can help talk you through it and all that stuff, but I would like to get someone other than me in there sometime so we can get like a rotation going. Other than that, most of the fixes that we have been pretty straightforward, and they're in the retro. I mean, we needed a new email address. I believe that in the future, civs won't work for us. One of the things I want to talk about GitHub is there a way that we could just have like a little GitHub app that connects to the Kubernetes org, figures out who all the members are, and then we pick a threshold instead of having our own spreadsheet with emails and then sending people email ballots are still a problem.
Well, good news.
Yeah.
GitHub is going to be at the Contributor Summit listening.
Yes. So that's one of the.
So, yep, there you
I
go.
will be there. I will
Line
be there.
up. Line up.
So other than that, the only thing that made me sweat this time around is we sent all the ballots, and normally it takes 15 minutes for civs to like churn. And it kind of sat. It was like in there 3 days. Like I suspected there was like a postfix queue that someone forgot to flag, whatever old Unix crap like you can think of. So I'd just like to move us away from email, something that is directly tied to, you know, GitHub and stuff. So I think it's also an opportunity for someone who might not know anything about Kubernetes, but knows how to write a web app or whatever that can help us out, that, you know, they don't have to know what all the Kubernetes stuff. So, but we have a year to figure that out, but I just wanted to lean forward in the saddle there. So the issue is there if you want to get feedback on the election and all that stuff.
Were we actually going to hold a retro? Or is it mostly just through the retro doc and Slack?
I'm doing it through the doc. I mean, we could schedule a retro. I mean, I don't know what people think.
A quick retro might be cool, especially on like the community meeting for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Wouldn't hurt.
That or maybe in the next, like maybe not the next, but a steering meeting.
Yeah. Whatever.
Like one of the other topics was the whole election, the criteria.
Yeah, I'm down to talk about that. Yeah, so I'll put that on a steering. I'll get that flagged with steering.
Yeah. Don't put it on like a hyper. It's not like a huge priority. I'm sure steering has other stuff to do, but, you know.
All right. Sorry, I was taking some notes. All right. Any other? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jonas.
Yeah, just a question regarding the contributor summits. So we have the issue of building the Amsterdam Contributor Summit team. We've gotten a bunch of comments on there, people signing up. So just wondering when we're going to move forward with this, because there is no date set or anything like that. So just a general question.
I think Jeff is going to move forward within the next couple of days. So just look out for that. I think he said he wants to get a small core team together and then proceed with the strategic planning. But I don't want to speak for Jeff. But yeah, I'm just going to assume the next week or so for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions for any event-related activities? All right. Up next, mentoring. Meet our contributors. We did indeed have it last week. We had a large crew. That was fun. Next month is November. So yes, we will do it we'll do a pre-KubeCon special. If anybody on the line right now is interested, I think I have Paul Morey and about 3 other people that are coming on for November. But again, please feel free to come on, anyone. And then also in regards to mentoring, we are live with Outreachy now. I think we have 3 positions, not us necessarily, ContribEx. ContribEx has 1, but Kubernetes as a whole has 3 projects. Please hang out with us in Outreachy apps. That's a Slack channel. That's where, for those who aren't familiar with Outreachy, the potential interns need to make a first-time contribution as a part of their application process. So it's kind of like we're doing issue triage for new contributors right now in that Slack channel, and would love help. It's pretty much standard fare as far as giving links to contributor guide and telling people that they can contribute in certain places when they're unsure. So super pumped about Outreachy as well. This will be our largest class to date. So,
sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Bob.
One quick idea too for next month's MOC would be how to get the best out of KubeCon as a maintainer contributor.
For sure, we've had that around the other few KubeCons as well. So yeah, no. Cool. Any questions about Outreachy or Meet Our Contributors? And then a quick shout out to Marky too, who's been helping with some mentoring issue triage, helping us to break down some issues because we have some just super large issues in there that need to be broken down to get more task oriented. So appreciate that, Marky. Thank you. Next, community management. There has APAC meetings are still up and running and still going awesome. Yang, Nikita, that whole crew is amazing. They are still discussing about organizing a webinar targeting APAC time zones for both contributing topics and consumer-based topics. If you are interested in on a line with helping that crew out, I'm sure they would love it. They meet, I think it's actually tonight at 11 p.m. Pacific, if you are up that late. I don't have anything right now with the exception of Contributor Summit for the Need to Know Chairs email and tech lead. So if anybody has anything else outside of Contributor Summit, let me know. I'd like to get that out either today or tomorrow. If so, if not, it'll be punted until next Monday. Anybody have anything?
Maybe just a reminder about the owner stuff. And if possible, we've had a couple SIG leads already kick off and do audits, but now is a great time to do that.
Yep, I included some of that in the last email, especially the find owners tool. So I'll include the most updated KDev email that you sent out recently. Anybody else have any updates for chairs that we need to disseminate that's not Contributor Summit or Owners File related? Quiet on the front this week then. All right, anybody from the GitHub team on?
Yep, both Nikita and I are here.
Stuff in your world, what's going on? Looks like owner file cleanup on track. Talk a little bit more about that, Bob.
Essentially sent the email out earlier this week about cleaning up inactive owners from KK. Gave essentially a week of time to respond, and there'll be 19 PRs touching 55 owners files going out this weekend for hopefully get it merged by the end of the week. It'll actually be less PRs just because there's been a couple people taking care of it. The other thing on the list, Nikita and I have been talking about trying to power through cleaning up Incubator because that's been marked for deprecation for a bit. And that's mostly divide and conquer by the GitHub admins.
One of the Outreachy applicants actually pinged and asked if they could do a contribution there. Should I just tell them no to focus on other repos?
And I'd say it's fine. The stuff will still move over when they're migrated.
Okay. All right.
Is there anything else you can think of, Nikita?
No, that's about it, I guess.
And then anybody from Slack team on? No, a couple of you. Any updates with Slack?
Not really.
Yeah, nothing. It's
I
going.
know y'all were moving stuff over to repos. What's going on there? What like tool? What weren't you moving like homegrown tools or something into the org?
Oh no, that was SigDocs had a little tool that Zach Arnold had written, and there was a discussion about moving that or not, and it was not at this point.
All right. Anybody have anything for the GitHub admin team? Questions, concerns, comments? And if you didn't hear one more time, GitHub is going to be at the Contributor Summit. They're going to have a booth, and they're also going to teach a session on navigating conflict in GitHub code reviews and things like that. So that should be a pretty cool session.
Actually, one more GitHub thing that Ihor reminded me of. We're probably going to do a push here soon to clean up outside collaborators.
Oh, cool.
It's been a long-standing issue. I think, again, it's essentially just poking a few people and removing those that we know have been inactive.
Yeah, basically, we want everybody to be just a member of Kubernetes or not. So that's it. Because surprisingly, some people who are the outside collaborators then can be the admins, or like they may have some high privileges, which is unlikely for us. So we'd like to avoid having any outside collaborators for our Kubernetes program.
All right. Last call for Slack info or GitHub. All right. And then I see a lot of us on that do contributor documentation. Does anybody have anything to update as far as what they're working on? Either contributor guide, developer guide, non-code guide?
I am still working on the developer guide.
Okay.
Continuing. There's a lot to pull in there. There's like 5 different issues. So I continue to work on that.
With the switch over from 116 to 117 on the release team side, there's a bunch of little edits and things going on there, and some ideas and suggestions that came out of the retro for improving the developer guide too. And Marky's got visibility on those too. So
yeah,
a normal
thank you
sort
so
of cycle.
much. Thank you very much, Tim. I've seen all of your edits, and I'm like, oh my God, look at all of that awesome information. So thank you very much.
Well,
it's a continual work in progress every quarter.
And if we get the outreachy intern, then we'll have someone to help with content creation as well. So that's, and possibly even like release team stuff that was brought up in the retro. So cheers to that. Anybody have anything else that they're either working on that's contributor guide or contributor documentation related, or have any blockers or discussions with anything contributor documentation related? All right. I feel like contributor site is almost at MVP state. Bob, do you want to update us with what you did as far as I know I saw a PR come through with contributor guide, style guide stuff related.
Yeah, that's mostly just fixing stuff so that way it renders right in Hugo. So Hugo uses a different markdown renderer than GitHub. And so there's some things that, I'd say GitHub is a little bit more forgiving. And I think it's Black Friday is the Hugo one is less so. So it's just fixing some things like spacing and all that. And then getting in the automation to pull stuff in from external locations in the contributor site.
Okay.
Beyond that, some of the formatting changes will make good first issues, but want to at least land examples to point back to first.
Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar. I feel like we might have a meeting. Hold on. Contributor documentation. What is that, next week maybe? Or is that on the 23rd? Oh yeah, no, that's the 23rd. Okay, we should get a mailing list out then. That's 2 weeks. So what we should do next is either chat in Slack or a mailing list about the next steps for what we need to do that would complete out the KEP for the contributor guide, which I think we have hit at this point, with the exception of some minor changes. And then we've fulfilled the KEP requirements, and start discussion on the mailing list about whether or not people think that that is done from that level. That's it for contributor site, I think. And then obviously get more and more going on there and grow that and get more features and stuff like that up and running and get more people to help us as well. Anybody else have any updates as far as stuff they're working on? Contributor guide, developer guide, non-code guide, contributor site, lots of stuff. All right. Anybody else have any discussion topics for today? Hot topics going on in the land of contributor experience? Wow.
George has his hand up.
George.
Hey, so I was on the Kubernetes podcast from Google, and they like ambushed me, and they're like, talk contributor experience, and then next thing you know, like the next day they invited me. But I really talk a lot about you all and all that stuff. So if you get a chance to listen to it and give me feedback on what I could do better, I was kind of like talking off the top of my head, and like I might have missed something or, you know, said something with the wrong level of detail that you want, but I would appreciate any feedback there. You know, I figured the opportunity to talk about the programs that we're talking about and how people can get involved and stuff is really awesome. So if you ever get a chance to get on there, it seems that they cycle around to contribute experience like every 6 months or something. I don't remember the last time you were on Paris, but when do y'all want to reach out?
Honestly, I listened to it this morning, and you did great.
Okay, good. I'm glad everybody liked it. I was like, if we're going to get on there, I'm going to talk about all of our stuff. And then in hindsight, I should have mentioned our sessions at KubeCon for people to go to, which I think was hindsight. But yeah, that's what I did this week. I thought you all might dig it.
Awesome.
The other thing I wonder if we should talk about a little bit is that issue that Tim St. Clair filed about basically life cycle of PRs and notifications. Here, I'll drop a link in the notes.
Yeah, so I happen to have a call with Tim about this during our one-on-one on Monday. And it feels like he just woke up. He did a few GitHub queries, and he was like really sad that some of these PRs are over a year old, some of them. So he was like, what we need to have is like a life cycle document of like what a PR goes into. So, you know, someone does a PR, a bot says, you know, have you signed the CLA or whatever? And then we do all these steps. But then there's nothing in there that really says, okay, this PR has been open 60 days. Should we maybe cast wider the amount of reviewers? Or when old Feta bot, whatever we call the bot now, you know, it tells you this PR hasn't been touched in 30 days, do lifecycle stale. Maybe we should consider something like, this is just ideas I have, like, hey, no one has touched this for 30 days. Have you considered going in hash PR reviews, or, you know, going to a SIG, or, you know, maybe adding more like little tips in the lifecycle, you know, that we can automate in a way that at least lets the user know that they just don't have to sit there and wait. You know what I mean?
It'd be nice to also automate some escalations into it for people who are maybe kind of responsible for triaging some of these pull requests, because like it's fine for us. Like I know people that I can bug to get an LGTM on something. Right. But if you're a newer contributor, or if you're contributing in an area that you're not as familiar with the people, it's really hard, and they do just sit there. I mean, I've got a pull request that is literally 2 lines and is completely trivial, that's been sitting there for like 9 days, just because I can't get the SIG lead to.
Yeah, or it's been 30 days and then it like goes up a directory and then pings those owners. But then in my head, I was like, oh, that sounds like a nightmare. Everyone at the top level of the tree is just going to get crushed. So like, I was thinking about just drafting like a little Google document that's like a workflow of like, user does PR, what should happen, and then maybe kind of skeletoning out, okay, what should happen after, a day, a week, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or whatever. Because right now it just says, it's been 30 days, type a / command to not get bothered again. That's what I feel like I do when I get the bot, right? It's like, just leave me alone. Like, even if all it said was like, frustrated ? Check out PR-reviews, or here's a list of SIGs according to the label that you use, try to show it to me. Something a little bit more proactive than just type the / command to leave me alone. Maybe I was thinking, I don't know.
I think Test Infra has like a workflow that's similar to that, but definitely not like that. But I'm saying that just because it might be something that you can work off of, and then you don't have to build it from scratch. But yeah, no, I would ask in their chat, in their Slack, because they might already have something.
We have an issue triage team, right? Are they just focused on issues, or do they also kind of triage neglected pull requests?
Well, the problem with triaging pull requests is if you're not in the folder, then all you're doing is just, I guess, shepherding, and like nagging people.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, no, they're only focused on issues. I mean, that's something that they actually are meeting right now. That's something that we can have them look into. But yeah, no, they're just trying to get it together for issues right now.
Yeah, because I feel like the shepherding and nagging is probably part of what's missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're already nagging. Like, in my mind, I was like, let's not nag them again, because that would be just bothering people twice. But if we're going to bother someone, I figure have that text be worth it,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, Marky's dropping for the triage meeting right now. Marky, if you're still on, bring up the PRs.
Yeah, so I'm going to start drafting some. This is something that's going to take a lot of discussion, a lot of feedback. I know, Aaron and Christoph and Akita will have comments and stuff, but I think I'm just going to start with a skeleton, just kind of, for my own purposes to figure out how a PR workflow works, and then we could start the I figured just starting the conversation would be fine, because he's right. Some of those old PRs are just outright embarrassing, and like, I don't want to get us to a point to be like, I would hate it for it to be like, well, we did an analysis and we found the founding SIGs are like the worst ones. Like, it feels like maybe not the right way to approach it. Like, I'm not ready to start shaming anybody. We
don't necessarily need to shame, but we can say like, hey, maybe you should think about an issue triage team, or we can like suggest things to certain SIGs based on that data.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's like shaming. I mean, depending on how we frame it.
Yeah.
But we can at least see like, and be consultative, and have some of you go into some of these SIGs and like consult there, and, help them build up those teams.
Yeah. Or at least help get the word out, right? It'd be nice if you could go into a KubeCon and say, the following SIGs are really falling behind in reviews if you're looking for a way to plus up.
Exactly.
This might be an area for you to invest in.
Issue triage is a great place to learn a lot about the SIG.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal with the contributor experience one was to get them to figure it out at a small scale first, and then hopefully like go into other SIGs and have them consult there and say, hey, we've already done this. Let me help you. Docs is doing the same as well. So there's a couple SIGs that are like trying to figure this out. But if we could figure this out at a wide scale, that would be super dope. This is the type of stuff that I wish we would talk about at Contributor Summit. So, and I'm hoping that like some of those unconference tickets get taken up with some of these topics, because that would be great.
And George, I'm happy to help with that if you want some help.
Yeah. I will be asking for help.
Teamwork. All right. Last call for contributor experience vent sessions. Just kidding. I have plenty, but that's it.
Oh,
what, George?
One minor thing.
Yep.
If you're going to Contributor Summit, I realize we don't have like a group/team picture. So if we have an opportunity, if there's like a 5-minute break or something in Contributor Summit, if we can really try to get an effort to get everybody in, and if someone didn't make it, we'll Photoshop them in or something. But like, working on a talk, and I really wanted to talk about how great this is, and realize we don't have a picture.
Well, there's a good photo. It's not necessarily of contributor experience, but it's like 300 of us at the Seattle one. If you want to use that one, yeah.
That's the one I'm using, but I want a little bit. Just two.
There's the one at that we did at IBM that was like 10 of us, but yeah, no, we need an updated one.
And that was like a year and a half ago.
There's also it's not an official picture, but it's somewhere like on Twitter from the Barcelona, not the Contributor Summit, but the little like Wednesday night event.
Yeah, if we end up at game night or something, I just feel like it'd be more useful for us to have more pictures of our team and stuff to kind of see how much fun we are. Come join us. That's the pitch I'm trying to sell. So.
All right, my friends. Oh yeah, next session is the 23rd. That session we need to focus on things like the KubeCon intro, deep dive, getting our act together for all things KubeCon, Contributor Summit, etc. So prepare for that kind of discussion for the 23rd. Cool. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Happy Wednesday.
Bye.